Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome back to Steelers Almighty. Got another edition of our podcast, man. We appreciate everybody being in here. We got a good show for you. First off, DBs have swag, ladies and gentlemen. The Steelers DB room has some swag. We're going to break all that down. Next up, Alex Highsmith, I think is under the gun. I really believe that he is under the gun. Y'all know how much I respect Alex Highsmith and actually how much I think he's a good player. We'll talk about how I think he's under the gun this season. Then the Terry McLaurin. That trade rumor is starting to heat up, but we will talk today on why the Steeler fans should just keep their perspective on it. Just keep your perspective and live in reality. Live in reality. And then Kaleb Johnson, he needs some work. He needs some work. We'll talk about Kaleb Johnson, what he's looked like so far, and what needs to happen in the future for him to get on the field. So appreciate everybody being in here, man. Thank you guys as always, and always checking out Steelers Almighty. Again, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Steelers Almighty. Your social media platforms, make sure you check for Steelers Almighty there. And if you prefer the audio version of this podcast, anywhere you get a podcast, you can find us at Steelers Almighty. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in that comment section, people. The season's almost here. Let's ramp it up. Always hit that notification bell, too, because our schedule is going to be changing. So you'll know exactly when all Steelers Almighty content comes out. So without further ado, let's get into this. So first up, man, the DBs have some swag. It looks totally different out there than what it has the last several seasons as far as the secondary for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Um, Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay have brought an attitude to the DB room. They've brought a confidence with them, and it is starting to wear off, I guess you could say, or they're starting to spread that confidence throughout that room. The practices have been high level competition. The DBs are trying to go out there and win every rep. Wide receiver, tight end, it literally doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. They are trying to win every single rep. The competition has been fierce, and I love it. The person, in my opinion, that it's worn off the most on is Joey Porter Jr. Joey Porter Jr., first off, the first day of pads, he looked like a different corner. He's out there in the run game, just popping pads, making tackles, flying all over the place, playing physical, but not physical in in his coverage. He was playing physical in the run game, which his tackling got better last year, but it still wasn't up to snuff on where we would like it or where Steelers want their cornerbacks to tackle. Well, one day of pads, it sure did look like it. Like that, he had been working on that, knew he had to get more physical. Joey Porter Jr. seems to be thriving in the environment of having two really good veterans on the football team at his position that can tell him a thing or two, teach him a thing or two. He seems to be thriving because, as we all know, talent was never his problem. It was never his issue. It was more trusting himself. And I think these guys are like, look, man, you're good. You know you're good, but you got to go out there and make the plays because you can have all the talent in the world. But if you don't trust yourself and you grab, it's a problem. You just got to go out there, trust your technique, trust your film study, and go get the job done. You know, the DB is a reaction position for the most part, people. It is. I mean, all defense is a reaction position, but defense, I mean, that's the whole thing about corners. Corners are always trailing. They're always trailing. Um, but they seem to be bringing the fight. And again, it's early in camp, but they seem to be bringing the fight to the wide receivers. They are out there saying, no, absolutely not. We're not letting you get this. We're not letting you get that. They are bringing the fight to the receivers. And the thing about it is, and it's on every rep, but It's making everybody better. I know it's an old cliche, iron sharpens iron. I know people use that a lot, but it's the truth. It's just the truth. And the competition is outstanding on both sides. But I think it's because the DBs are bringing it and they got the better of the wide receiver slash tight ends. And for the better part of a week, they got the better of them. And now it's like, okay, hold on a second. Hold on. And now the wide receivers are fighting back. But I love what this DB room looks like. It's super deep. That's the next part I want to talk to you guys about. I know we've covered it before, but Lord have mercy, man. I just don't know when I've seen a Steelers. Let's just start with the cornerback room. I don't know where I've seen it this deep before of good quality corners, guys that can play. I mean, you got Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr. Okay. Then you've got Brandon Echols, Corey Trice Jr., you know, Beanie Bishop, Dante Kent, who has looked phenomenal during camp so far. He has looked phenomenal. You know, then you go over to the safeties with Thornhill and Clark. Now, I know people want me to throw Castro in there right now. No, we're not going to throw Castro in there right now. He's a force safety. He's going to have a problem. His thing is not coverage. So I'd love to see him make it, but you guys know me. I want whoever's the best player to make the team. And I'm just not sure Castro's going to be that right now. He's good special teamer and good tackler, not great in coverage. But we'll see. It's a battle. It's a battle. We'll see if he can make it. But someone's going to get left out. That's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody's going to get left out as far as the cornerback room who is a productive NFL receiver. And here's the thing. You know, teams keep anywhere between 5 and 7 corners on their roster. The Steelers won't be one of those teams, at least not in my interpretation, unless they back off somewhere else. But I don't believe the Steelers are going to be a team that keeps 7 corners because of the way that their roster is structured. And let me explain to you why. Miles Killebrew is an ace special teams guy, but he plays safety. Now, I've said this many times, and again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but if Miles Killebrew is in the game on defense, either guys are hurt or we're in trouble. You know, one of the two things. And so he's going to be on the team, but he's a special teamer, but designated as a safety in an emergency. Okay. Well, you keep 6 DBs or 6 cornerbacks, I should say. You can't keep 7 because you need the lineman, you need the D lineman. I don't know where you would go a little bit less on a position on game day, especially. I think it's tough to keep 7 with the way that the Steelers roster is made up. You know, if your ace special teamer was like a linebacker or if he was a tight end or something of that nature, but he isn't. He's a safety. So I think it's just going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough. I don't think there's enough room for everybody when it comes to cornerback, but which is unfortunate because the Steelers will try to hide somebody on the practice squad. They're not going to be able to do that. They're not, you know, because especially if they continue to play the way that they play through the preseason, through camp, through preseason. If these guys continue to do that, somebody, like I mentioned, is going to get cut. They're going to be picked up by another team immediately. Steelers are not going to be able to keep them on the practice squad, which is unfortunate, but it's the way of the world. You only get 53 guys. You only do. So I just don't think that they can keep 7 corners the way that their roster is built. And we're not blaming Miles Kill. I don't want you to guys come off thinking that I'm blaming Miles Killebrew, you know, because I'm not. I'm just the way that the roster is built and who the special teams guys are, you know, because somebody in that cornerback room is going to be another special teams guy. Because look, let's face it, James Pierre is a special teams guy. I didn't mention his name because he's not a very good corner by NFL standards, and we all know that. These guys can be. So they're going to have to be special teams, and that's probably how somebody's going to make the team when it comes down to the very end. Who's the best gunner? Like, who shows that they want to go down there, get hit by 2 people, and go make a tackle and sprint 50 yards downfield. That's going to be the difference. We'll see who that is, ladies and gentlemen. I like this makeup of this DB room. And another thing, because Clark and Thornhill, I think that's going to be a battle all the way through camp. I really do. I think it's going to be a battle all the way through camp, but we'll see. Thornhill has the edge right now. Don't be surprised if Clark is the starter week 1. Just don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, because I won't be. I won't be. Either way, let's go to the poll question. Let's go to the poll. Poll question number 1. Which aspect of the Steelers' defensive backs excites you the most heading into the year? Is it A, depth of talent across the position? B, competition driving improvement? C, the return of a confident Joey Porter Jr.? Or D, flexibility across the position? All good answers. None would be wrong. Literally, you can't make a wrong answer here. But put a number 1 in front of the answer so we know exactly what poll question you guys are answering. Let's move on, people. So our main man, Alex Highsmith. Alex Highsmith, I think, is under the gun this season. The brass tacks Steelers have brought in guys. Herbig is here. Jack Sawyer is here. Look, I like Alex Highsmith. You all know I continuously talk about how good he is, and let's kind of get into that a little bit. I think he gets overlooked a lot because he plays the opposite of TJ Watt. But having said that, the biggest sack year that he had, TJ Watt missed, I think it was 8 games that year. Like, he hasn't had double-digit sacks, even though he plays opposite J.J. Watt. Now, he does a lot. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm not trying to downplay him. The man does a lot. But as far as last year, not bad. He graded out as the the 8th best edge rusher, according to PFF, in the league. The 8th best, that's pretty good. He had an 89 grade on his pass rush, because we see Alex Highsmith. If they try to single block, Alex Highsmith gets pressure. Doesn't always get sacks, but he gets pressure. And against the run, this is kind of what separates him, and we'll discuss that here in a quick sec. 78.3 in the run game. Not bad. Not bad. He had 6 sacks last year, just in 11 games. Remember, he missed quite a bit of time because of that crazy. First of all, he had a hammy, then a strain or sprained ankle that was ugly at Washington. And that's the thing about a sprained ankle. He may have came back, but maybe he wasn't healthy all year long after that. Maybe he was out there running at 75% the rest of the season because of his sprained ankle. So who knows, ladies and gentlemen. But before that, he was pretty durable. He had only missed 2 games his first 4 seasons, before last year. So, pretty durable guy. Literally 2 games in 4 seasons, which is pretty good playing National Football League football. So the one thing about it is Herbig is coming. Herbig is coming. Now, there's a lot of people that want to see Herbig be the starter now. And I'm like, well, hold your horses, because here's the thing about Herbig. Herbig graded out as the 17th best pass rusher last year in 433 snaps. That was just over 100 less than Alex Highsmith. So Herbig is doing his thing too, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing his things too. And he missed time, if you remember. He had a crazy hamstring injury. I mean, he couldn't even walk. That thing would look brutal. So he missed time. But he graded out as a pass rusher at 91.5, which that was actually higher than Alex Highsmith. And I think that's because you see Herbig. Herbig gets pressure. He gets back there. He has got pass rush moves, and his motor is incredible. The reason he doesn't play, and I've pointed this out to several people online, discussions, wherever, and some people want to give pushback, and I'm like, man, it's like You're watching the same game I'm watching. Herbig is not good against the run. He just isn't. That's not his thing. It hasn't been his thing yet. And the grades show that to be true, 48.2%. That's not good. 48.2. No, you got to be better than that. Got to be better than that. And that's what he grades out at. Now, I get it that PFF is just a tool. We got to use our own eyes. Well, using your own eyes, Alex Highsmith is miles better than Herbig against the run. He just is, people. He just is. Now, will that change this year? I don't know. Let's hope so. But the run defense is what's keeping Herbig off the field and keeping Highsmith on the field. So that's just the difference right there, is that Alex Highsmith is out there way more because Alex Highsmith can stop the run, and Herbig hasn't proven that he can do that. He hasn't proven that he can do it, much less do it on a consistent basis. Highsmith has proven he can do it on a consistent basis and does it. That's what the difference between the two. But you start looking at Highsmith, you start looking at his contract, and you start looking at production, he makes a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen. He makes a lot of money. And his cap hit is $20 million, which is a lot. But you start breaking it down. If he has the same type of season this year that he had last year, now I'm not talking about being injured, but if he has 9 sacks, 8 or 9 sacks, the likelihood that he gets traded in the offseason is sky high. Sky high. Because that kind of cap hit, you had, it's kind of what I talk about with the Steelers defense. You're paying this kind of money for this defense, got to be top 5. Well, you're paying this kind of money for an edge rusher. I can't have 6 sacks. I can't have 7 sacks. And I'm not saying getting sacks is easy. I would never say that, because you can do everything right and beat your man clean, but the quarterback could throw the ball early. He could get it out of his hands. He could take a step up to where you just couldn't get him. So there's a lot of factors in getting a sack versus just beating your guy. But you know what? People do it. People do it all the time. And we need Alex Highsmith to do that. So anywhere, less than 10, I would say the probability that he gets traded in the offseason is 75%. Because the difference is they could trade him after June 1st last year, and they're not going to cut him, but they could trade him, which they would. He'll only be 29 next year. The Steelers would save $14.5 million on the cap. Just $14.5 million. What can you do with that? So they could do some things with it. They've got replacements. Now, it's going to depend on how those guys play this year. But yeah, I would suspect that they would trade. And again, it won't even be before the draft. Some people are going to say, oh, we got to trade him and get some draft capital. The draft capital will be for 2027. And here's the reason why, is because you can't trade somebody and designate it a post June 1st trade before the draft. You can't do that. It has to be after the fact. So any draft capital that they get, and then I know the next question is, well, why don't they just trade them beforehand? If you're going to save $14.5 million, that's not what it is. If you trade them before June 1st, the Steelers got a dead money hit. I want to say it's like $16 million, something crazy. And they don't save near as much on the cap. So it has to be a post June 1st trade. And if it is, the draft capital won't come in 2026. It'll come in 2027, which for the Steelers, that should be okay. We already have 12 draft picks. So, potentially. So that should be okay. But that's kind of my thinking. How does he stay? I think he's got to have double-digit sacks. I think he does. If he does that, the Steelers may restructure. But I think that's, and again, double-digit sacks, like I mentioned before, that's easier said than done. Not only is he fighting that, he's also fighting other Steelers. I mean, he does play opposite TJ Watt. Cam Hayward is also on his football team. Who knows what Derek Harmon's going to bring to the table? I assume a lot. Steelers look like they're going to do a ton of other stuff. At least they've shown that early. as far as blitzing linebackers and blitzing slot corner. They're going to do a lot of different things. It might just be that he can't get there because somebody else is there. So who the hell knows? He's also got to stay healthy, got to excel in the run, which for the most part he's done. I know he got hurt last year, but for the most part he stayed healthy and he does excel in the run. But if I'm being honest, I would put it higher than 75%. I said that earlier. I think Alex Highsmith is getting traded in the offseason by the Pittsburgh Steelers after June 1st. There, I said it. I think that's happening. And here's why. If the Steelers can move off of Minkah Fitzpatrick, they can move off of Alex Highsmith. It's literally just that simple. Steelers found an opportunity to what they believe to better their roster, get rid of a high salary, especially at a position that you don't necessarily need to be paying a high salary for, and they moved on from Minkah Fitzpatrick. I'm not trying to downgrade Alex Highsmith because I think he's a great football player, but he's not Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's never been as good as Minkah Fitzpatrick in his career, and the Steelers moved on from that. So if they're willing to do that, they're going to be willing to move on from Alex Highsmith too. So that's just the way I see it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to the poll. Poll question number 2. What do you consider to be the most crucial factor for Alex Highsmith's success this season? A, achieving double-digit sacks. B, excelling in run defense. C, staying healthy throughout the season. Or D, staying relevant in the D-line rotation. Interesting. Very interesting there. So make sure you put a 2 in front of your answer so we know exactly what poll question you guys are answering. All right, we are at the halftime, ladies and gentlemen. First, thank everybody for all the support that you guys have given to Steelers Almighty, man. Football season is right around the corner. I mean, practices started, the pads are starting to pop, and practices or the games are right around the corner. And I'm super excited, and I'm glad to see you guys are excited. You guys have been in the comments like crazy, man. So want to thank you. I know supers are just one way that you guys can help support the channel when we do our live shows. But memberships, make sure that you guys check out the memberships as well. Get to the all-pro level or higher. That will get you access to our all 22. We break down the entire football game of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So make sure you get there. If you want to take it a step further and go to the Hall of Fame level, that will get you access to everything that we do on the site, but also it will get you access to streaming the games in the regular season that we do live. We watch the games together, get in the chat together, have a ton of fun. So make sure you do that. Another thing is merchandise is available, people. Make sure you go to Steelers Almighty Shop. Go check it out. Go get you a hat, shirt, glass. We got Thunderbird shirts, Thunderbird hats, Steelers Almighty shirts. We got all this stuff out there for you guys. Make sure you guys go check that page out and go pick you up some stuff for the season. It is worth a look at. So appreciate everybody, man. Thank you guys. Let's get back to this. All right. Let me grab some water. Terry McLaurin. He has requested a trade from the Washington Commanders. And immediately, and I mean it was immediate, the Steeler fans, go get him. We got to bring him in. We got to have him here. First off, I want to say I don't disagree with you. I think the sentiment of having Terry McLaurin on the Pittsburgh Steelers, I will say this right now. Terry McLaurin comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, we're going to the Super Bowl. Damn it, I said it. We're going to the Super Bowl. Now, I know that's a wild take, but that's the way I feel about it. Now, the difference is, not sure it's going to happen. Let's kind of break this down. First off, McLaurin's a great talent. You know, he would improve our wide receiver room tremendously. I'm not sure that he wouldn't be the number one wide receiver here. I'm just not sure of that, but it would be fun, wouldn't it? He's had 5 straight seasons of over 1,000 yards. He's a great route runner, great hands. One thing that he excels at is contested catches, 50-50 balls. Even though he's not the biggest guy out there, it's just some guys have a knack for being able to bring down 50-50 balls, and he does that. Contested catches, very strong at the catch point. Okay. He's also an ultimate professional. You haven't heard a coach say anything bad about him. Comes to practice every day, works hard. He's a team guy. Now, I know some people are going to have a problem saying, well, if he's a team guy, why is he holding out? Well, come on, people. He's wanting a new contract. Probably one that they said they would give him. Hell, Washington's saying they want to give him a new contract. They just haven't come to an agreement. And now he's like, well, you guys are way off. I got to get out of here. So, and look, people say stuff like that all the time. It's a negotiating ploy. It happens. I don't think he really has the leverage in this case, but it is what it is. But he is a team guy, works hard every day. And that's something that the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking to get. We got rid of a lot of guys that we perceived and were bad in the locker room. Terry McLaurin's not that way. He is not that way. So he is a good dude. Has some dog in him, some fight in him, but it's controlled. He's not throwing teammates under the bus. He's not going to throw coaches under the bus. He's just not going to do that. That's not who this young man is. But I think he's also too rich for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know that they can make it work under the salary cap. I know they've got room, and I know they can probably make room. You renegotiate people. I get all of that. But then it becomes super close. I just don't know that the Steelers could make it all fit. I'm sure they can. Let me take that back. I'm sure they can, because you can always make things work. But do they want to make it work? I guess is the better question. Yeah, maybe they should. Either way, I just don't know what those numbers would look like, because he's going to want $30+ million a year. Now you're paying two wide receivers over $30 million a year, but you're not paying a quarterback. So what difference does it make? And you guys know my philosophy on paying people. What's the percentage to the cap? What's that? And do we have cap space? If we got cap space and we can still make other moves if we need to, we got cap space, then let it rip. Let it rip. It was going to take a 2nd and a 5th round pick to get him. That's the thing. Now, we gave up a 2nd for DK Metcalf. You willing to do that for McLaurin? He's going to be 30, which I don't think 30. That's what Washington is kind of using against him, his age. I don't think that should be a factor. He's got less wear and tear on his body than other people because he didn't play that much in college. He's come out and said that. So that's a factor. But, yeah, 1st and a 2nd. Or I'm sorry, not a 1st. A 2nd and a 5th. That's what it's going to take to get him. Are you willing to do that? Because if you remember, the Steelers are trying to get a quarterback in next year's draft. So it's going to take some draft picks to be able to do that. We're giving up a 2nd round pick. Hell, Washington might say a 1st. Now, if they say that, then it is what it is. Because giving them a 1st, I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. But, yeah, they're trying to get a quarterback next year, and we can't give up the farm for McLaurin if we're still trying to get a quarterback, which we better still be trying to get a quarterback. But, yeah, he's going to want $30 million. But here's my thing. Washington doesn't want to trade him. They have said so on several different occasions. He is part of our plan now and our short-term future. And I think that's where, Scary Terry is a little upset, because you keep saying short-term future like you're only going to give me a 3-year deal. I don't want a 3-year deal. I want a deal longer than that. I'm going to be playing football longer than that. Washington doesn't believe so. And that's where the stalemate, I believe, is coming in, the number of years of his contract. But Washington doesn't want to trade him. And I don't think they're going to trade him. I really don't. I don't know that they're necessarily going to give in to his demands, but I just – and eventually something will get done, but Washington's not going to trade him. And that's why I just try to live in reality. Don't let this be the Brandon Ayuk situation from a year ago, when all training camp and all offseason, they're trading for Brandon Ayuk. Oh, he wants to come to Pittsburgh. No, he doesn't. He treated us like the side piece. We don't need to go through that again. We still have PTSD from what happened last year with all that. We need to relax. Just relax. Okay? But I would make the call if I'm Omar Khan. I would call and see what they have to say. But I also don't want people blowing up Omar Khan, Mike Tomlin, saying, oh, you didn't even try. Well, maybe they did call and they said, yeah, it's going to take 2 first-round picks. Well, okay, thank you, goodbye. It's Steelers aren't going to do that. A first-round pick, the Steelers aren't going to do that. So, yeah, I get it. You call them, but if they say something crazy, look, like, hey, man, we're not giving you a first. Where do we start? Well, we're only starting at a first. Okay, well, we appreciate you. Goodbye. No. Call, see what it looks like. If it doesn't work out, we don't need a bunch of internet trolls on Twitter and everywhere talking about Omar Khan didn't try, Mike Tomlin didn't try. Maybe they did try, and Washington was being unreasonable. But what I think is going to happen, Khan is going to call, and Washington is going to say, we aren't trading him. That's going to be the answer. And you can't trade. You can't make somebody trade somebody. You just can't do that. Takes 2 to tango, ladies and gentlemen. Takes 2 to tango. Let's go to the poll question. Poll number 3. If the Steelers would trade for Terry McLaurin, what's the highest round pick would you be comfortable giving up for him? A, first round pick. B, second round. C, third round. Or D, none. I don't want him. You know what? Here's the thing with that. I don't think I've heard any Steeler fan say that they don't want him. Everybody's got some negative people. I haven't heard anybody say they don't want him or wouldn't take him. That is something that Steeler fans can all agree on. Oh, we got an opportunity to get him? Yeah, we'll take it. Put a 3 in front of your answer so we know exactly what poll question you are answering. My man, Kaleb Johnson, man. He needs a little. He's an elite runner. He's looked fluid in camp as far as running. Nobody has any questions about that. I mean, he's going to have some hiccups here as far as a runner, just because he's a rookie and getting used to things. But he's an elite runner. He's got excellent vision. He's patient but decisive. He waits for his blockers and allows his blockers to do their job. And then when it's time to go, he goes. I'm not trying to compare him to Le'Veon Bell. That is not what I'm doing. But you remember when Le'Veon Bell used to be so patient. And then it was time to go. It was time to go. You see that out of Kaleb Johnson. Now, I'm not trying to compare the two. Le'Veon was special when he was in Pittsburgh. He was special. Let's not put those kind of expectations on this young man just yet. Now, he may earn it, but let's not do that to him just yet. But I like it. But here's the thing. To get reps, it's going to be more of a battle than maybe what people anticipate, even myself. I think the Steelers like Gainwell. I mean, we've seen it so far in camp. They like Gainwell. And here's the thing. Gainwell is a solid backup NFL running back. Solid. Not, oh, well, you just throw him out there. No. He is a solid backup running back in the National Football League. He's excellent at running the ball, but he's also excellent in pass protection and catching the ball out of the backfield. Those are 2 things that he does well. I didn't even agree with when they brought him here. I thought, what are we doing? We know we're going to draft a running back. Why are we bringing in Gainwell? And again, Gainwell, because I thought, man, he's not bad. I mean, I know he played behind Philly's offensive line. I said, but this is not a bad running back. So I didn't necessarily agree. Didn't understand what the Steelers are doing, but it is what it is. He's here now, and he's going to play. And I know you're thinking, well, we got to get Kaleb Johnson. He's better. Well, maybe he is, but the thing that I know is last year, how many reps was before Cordell Patterson got hurt, he was getting reps. Hell, even when he came back, he was getting reps. So the Steelers, Arthur Smith, they're not afraid to use 3 running backs. Now, how many reps you get and how many reps Kaleb Johnson gets is going to depend on this: pass protection. Pass protection. Where do you need to go? Who's your guy? And when you get there, what can you do? Can you block the man? Can you get in his way? Can you do enough? Because you can't end up in the quarterback's lap. That's not helping. That's literally not helping, you know. And the first day in pads, first backers on backers, he didn't look good. Didn't look good at all. But the one thing about him, though, he's a hard worker. And we saw from his very first rookie mini camp that that's what he was working on: pass protection. Pass protection. I mean, and they probably broke it down for the basics for him too. Hand placement. Where do you look? Where do you hit? How's your body need to be? How wide apart do your feet need to be? Do you need to stagger? Do you lunge? Of course you don't. What do you do? When's a good opportunity to cut a guy? You know, all that stuff. So he's a hard worker. We've seen him out there work. Now he's just got to put it on the field. He's got to put it on the field. And it's things that, again, we need to see it. We need to see it. But that's the thing that's going to cost him reps. If he can't get pass protection down and catching the ball out of the backfield. I mean, how many times did we dump the ball off to Najee and Jalen Warren? I mean, how often do we do that? A lot. A lot. Running backs are an extension of the passing game now. They just are. Especially little swing passes outside, little check downs, all that stuff. So he's got to be able to do all of that in the passing game. I'm not worried about the run game. What does the pass game look like? I'd love for the Steelers to come out first preseason game and, number one, throw a pass where he's got to come up and block somebody, and 2, throw another pass the next play, or I don't care what's going on down the field. We're just throwing him a swing pass and see what he can do. See what he can do. I would love it. And let's just get him out there and see it. But the Steelers are not going to bend on whether pass protection or not. They're not going to bend on that. No team does. It's not just the Steelers. No team bends on whether if you can't pass block as a running back and you don't know where to go, your reps are limited because they can't put you out there. And if they do, teams know you're going to run the ball if you can't pass block. I mean, it's just that simple. Because the Steelers know it too. They're not going to put you in a situation where they're throwing the ball and let you not be able to block somebody. That's just not going to happen. So he's got to get it down. He's got an opportunity, but I just think the battle for that backup running back spot is going to be a much bigger battle than any of us, myself included, anticipated. Because Gainwell's good. He's good backup NFL running back. He just is. So we'll see what happens there, man. Let's go to the poll question. Poll question number 4. Do you expect Kaleb Johnson to surpass Jalen Warren on the depth chart by the end of the season? A, yes, definitely. B, maybe. It depends on the snap counts. C, no. The vet is better in all things running back. Or D, no. Smith will use a 2-headed monster. So we'll see what happens. I like this question. Make sure you put a 4 in front of your answer so we know exactly what poll question that you guys are answering. So, look, to just kind of put a bow on this Terry McLaurin thing, look, the Steelers, I just don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen because I don't think Washington, they can't, and I'll just put it blunt, they can't be that stupid. You're not paying a quarterback. They have 2 guys making over $20 million a year on their roster. They have room, Your quarterback and him mesh extremely well. You got a young quarterback that needs them, and you're trying to win it right now. You're trying to go for it. I just don't see there being a a scenario where Washington gives up and says, nope, we'll go ahead and trade him. I don't believe that that's going to happen. So because of that, that's the reason I don't think there's going to be a trade. It's the same with Ayuk. I never thought Ayuk was coming. I kept saying it last year. It's not happening. It's not happening. He doesn't want to leave San Francisco. He just wants them to pay him. They eventually did, and he stayed. This is the same thing. He's requested a trade. Ayuk requested a trade. You know, so we'll see exactly what happens. But McLaurin's going to be there. They're going to end up paying him. I don't know if it'll be somebody's going to lose a little, but we'll see what happens. So again, Steeler fans, no need to bash Khan, no need to bash Tomlin if the deal doesn't go through. Because again, I'm sure they called in Washington. Nope, we're not trading them. You can't have them. I don't care what you offer us. We are not trading them. Well, what are they supposed to do in that case? So, well, that's all I got for you guys today, man. Thank you very much as always. Remember, like, follow, subscribe, leave comments, and always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Steelers All My content comes out. We appreciate you guys. Thank you, and aloha.